Hello folks, this is Tim Rancorn for Tech Time. Once again I'm going to try a little experiment, and I'm going to briefly basically describe what entails with this experiment. Yes, what I have here is two flashlights. Two flashlights, as you can see, one just tried to come on a little bit. I have them barely screwed on to where any vibration or any touching at all, yeah, as you can see it, when I touched the table it tried to come on, and I guess me moving at all is trying to get it to come on. My experiment here, instead of in the past I've tried bombarding them with humidity to show that I can increase the connectivity between the battery and the flashlight bulb with increased humidity levels, I'm going to try something new. I am going to bombard these flashlights with negatively charged ions. Yes, I am going to juice up the atmosphere. I keep moving around, the flashlight comes on. I don't know, maybe it's a spirit trying to join in this conversation. Who knows? But in any case, I'm going to bombard it with negatively charged ions. Yes, juice up the atmosphere with this Ramsey G57 ion cannon. Now this Ramsey ion cannon, what it is basically a alternating current changed into a direct current through a preamp to these copper tubes that you see. And in between, if I can spit it out, in between these copper tubes is a nail. This nail is hooked up, but it's not grounded, to actually almost 100,000 volts of electricity. Yes, I'm taking 110 volts from a socket, putting it through a preamp. The preamp's busting up the volts and feeding the tubes and the nails inside the tubes with 100,000 volts, folks. That's a lot. So I'm not trying to get too close to this little gadget. I might get a little surprise. But what this does, the nails inside the tubes that are exposed to this 100,000 volts of direct current will actually formulate what we call a ion vortex inside the copper tubes. And with this ion vortex, believe it or not, it will push air outside of the tubes. And I'll show you, actually, when I turn this on, I'll stick a lighter up to it and it creates an ionic breeze. Extremely cool, huh? Yeah. One of the many gadgets that actually I put together myself. Totally love Ramsey. Has many different electronic kits, and yes, I love to whip out my soldering gun. But in between these two PCB boards is what I built myself, and this is going to bombard the flashlights with supercharged negative ions. And we'll see whether or not that has an effect on the flashlight. So hey, I'm juicing up the atmosphere. Maybe that'll turn the flashlights on. So how that is a coordination to paranormal activity, increased levels of negative ions has been determined through many different studies of individuals a heck of a lot smarter than myself, that it could be an after effect of paranormal activity. So if you have a paranormal activity going on, well then that would explain the interaction between the flashlights, would it not? So I'm trying to recreate that environment of the after effect of a paranormal or a current effect of a paranormal activity to see whether or not it causes the flashlights to come on. Who knows? Alright, right here is another tool that actually I'm using to measure the atmosphere. This is a Oregon Scientific weather station, which actually gives you the time, shows you that this is not clipped, it's a straight running little experiment, but also gives you temperature, humidity levels, and barometric pressure. So hey, that's a lot of useful information to note during this experiment. So we'll put it right here. Whoops, trying to use it on the table because as you can see the flashlight's trying to come on because I barely have them screwed on, just like someone would do if they were trying to interact with a spirit with the flashlights. Okay, enough talking. What do you say we go ahead and I'm going to prop my little cannon up to where actually it's focusing down on the flashlights itself. I'm going to turn the ion cannon on and I'll show you that there's an actual breeze coming out of it, and then you'll see that it's focusing on the flashlights themselves, and we'll let it run for a few minutes and see if there's a possibility of interaction. So here we go, folks. That hissing sound that you hear is the ion cannon coming on. This is a lighter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you by flicking on the lighter that there is a breeze, an ionic charged breeze coming out of the ion cannon. So here's the lighter. Whoa, it just blew it out. Okay, we'll try it one more time. So, well, hey, just for giggles, let's try it on the other side. Here's the lighter. You can see it's burning. There's no breeze outside of it. I put it right in front of it and blew it out. So yes, we do have something coming out of the ion cannon, which is negatively charged ions. Yes. And I'm already smelling a lot of ozone as well. I do not see anything happening yet, but we're going to give it a minute or two. And like I say, folks, the reason for this experiment is the fact that it has been well known and documented that either during or just right after paranormal events that have been documented with credible evidence, excuse me, that increased ion levels have been detected on so many different occasions. So if you follow me, the reasons why I'm bombarding these flashlights with a tremendous amount of negative ions is because I'm trying to artificially create the environment that usually happens during paranormal events. So, if the flashlights do come on, based on increased ion levels, negative ion levels that is, then I might actually give the flashlight theory little credit. But so far I'm not seeing any interaction. I'm not seeing the increased levels of negative ions having much effect. So once again, I'll show that actually I am having something come out. You don't see any fan on the negative ion generator. All you see, I'm not going to touch it and turn around, folks. Maybe once I turn it off, I'll show you a little bit more of the ion generator, but right now I'm not going to touch it. But I'm going to use my lighter again and show you that yes, there is something coming out of the ion generator. Okay, here's the lighter. You see there's no breeze to blow it out. I put it right in front of, blew it out. Once again. Alright, so you've got a negative ion flow coming out of the negative ion cannon. And I really smell a lot of ozone. So those of you very experienced investigators, have you found that investigating during or just right after a thunderstorm or storms in the area, have you experienced increased activity? Is there merit to the possibility that that hissing's the ion generator? Is there merit to paranormal activity being related to increased levels of ions, negative ions? In that case, wouldn't the bombardment of an ion, a negative ion cannon, right directly on the flashlights, we should see lots of activity going on with the flashlights. So, make your own opinion, folks, but I just don't see any activity. There you go. As you can see, I tapped it. Flashlight's barely screwed on. But the effect of the ion generator doesn't apparently have an effect on the flashlights. So that further probably discontinues my belief that actually flashlights are a legitimate paranormal tool. But make up your own mind, folks. You know, this is just a little experiment. Probably doesn't have all the necessary controls that it needs to be, but you know, I have tools available. I think we should add some interaction if there was some correlation. Temperature 6.3 degrees, 47% humidity. Has not changed. Those elements have not changed. Barometric pressure is stayed at 99.5. Only thing that's increased is the bombardment of negative ions. Hasn't had effect on the flashlight. So, we'll end this experiment, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Please contact me if you would like. ESPinvestigations@live.com, or check out my new website, espinvestigations.co. Alright, catch me Thursday nights, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, only on Para Encounters Network. See you.